One of the things that drags me to play From Software game is the fact that they are difficult. Even so, those games always give you plenty of resources and upgrades to make your experience easier and still have a fun challenge. In terms of difficulty, bosses are the pinnacle of these games. So in this video, I will be sharing my list of bosses from easiest to hardest in Dark Souls 1, considering of course my first playthrough of this game. Here we go, this is the easiest boss of the entire game. That's because it has pitiful HP, and only a single attack like a fireball, that's all it can do. Also, considering that most players are going to fight him after the first half of this game, they are probably going to be overpowered and know how the game works, so there's absolutely no way this thing can be a threat. He can also clone himself, but this poor guy will die so quickly that you will probably never see it. The first boss in this game is also really easy. In fact, it's the only boss in the entire game that I have never died to. Yes, somehow I died to Pinwheel. Well, again, back to Asylum Demon. This fight is kinda easy because the moveset is slow and predictable. If you stay close to it, it's going to swipe the arena or do a ground pound. Both of them can be easily punished, and every single other attack, just dodge the side and you're good. All of this combined with the unbelievable plunge attack damage that you can do in the start of the fight makes it also a piece of cake. Though please, don't be dumb enough to fight it using the broken sword. It's going to be impossible, or you're going to be there for 20 minutes. This is the last piece of cake boss. Being actually a secret one, most players only fight against him in the end game, meaning they are going to be dealing unbelievably high tons of damage. Since this boss has a low HP, well, you can see where this is going. So this fight ends up being a tag game simulator, with a little bit of bullet hell. Before you even realize, this boss is dead. Now we have a boss that's exactly the same as Stray Demon, a boss that we will see later in the list, but now it's red. Since at this point of the game almost every player fought this first variant, they will know how to beat it I guess, and be strong enough to do it with ease. This one has two different ways to fight against. The first is to actually fight him, which can be quite difficult thanks to his unbelievably high damage, especially the fire attacks, but his other attacks, although dangerous, are not that hard to dodge. Also, when you do, he leaves his arm still for you to hit them as many times as you want. If that's how you fight him, he could be a little bit higher in the list. But there's the gimmick way to fight this boss, and it makes it way easier. It involves taking his sister clothes to make him pissed, run all the way back to the fog wall, and wait for him to jump for you. He's going to grab the ledge, then you punch him with your bare fist, and he will fall to his death. This boss walks and then it walks again, and really, do I need to explain why this boss is easy? If you stay by its sides, you can hit it over and over again without being hit back and forcing you to do the same attack over and over again. I said this twice, right? No matter. Of course, this thing has some high damage and HP, but it doesn't even matter that much. After a little bit of time, you will be able to take it down. In his first encounter, Sif is the hardest boss in the entire game, because it's absolutely impossible to beat it, since the game requires us to die here. But when you go for the rematch and destroy his immortality crystal, the fight is actually easy. Its attacks are laser beams and explosions that surprisingly don't do a lot of damage. There are also some pikes in the fight that can proc death buildup, but it never happened to me. In the end, the reason why this boss is no challenge is because it can't do anything if you repeatedly hit his belly. This one may seem a little higher than it should, but in my last playthrough it was definitely the boss that killed me the most. which I know sounds pathetic and I just don't know how it happens. I guess it can be a bit challenging to dodge in this small arena. Its attacks are telegraphed and can go through walls for some reason. Sometimes its explosions are wider than it should. All of this combined with the fact that when you are playing melee, you need to wait for it to come down, sometimes even for more than a minute, meaning there is enough time for you to mess it up. Although, if you are playing a range build, the difficulty is non existent. I guess it's the same for melee. I just don't know what happened to me this last time. Now, this boss is the first one that I believe to have like the average from software difficulty. The main problem with this fight is its tight arena, making the camera feels off and hard to dodge the attacks because, well, the arena is small and tight, as I said. His attacks also have some of the worst hitboxes in the entire game. Other than that, I don't find it to be that bad since walking backwards absolutely nullifies it. Even more if it decides to do all the work for you. Not much to say about this one. It can't do much if you just stay below his legs. Almost every single attack is not able to hit you if you do it. There's one attack where the boss tries to grab you when you do this too much, but in general is also not that hard to dodge. Also, if you can do enough poise damage, you can actually make it fall off the arena and die, making it way easier. There are two possibilities for this fight. Either you don't fight her, which in this case is definitely the easiest fight in the game because it's not even a fight, or you become a heartless monster and attack her without reason. If you do that, she will defend herself with the sight that causes blood buildup, meaning heavy armor is not going to be a lot of help here. This, alongside the fact that she is invisible for the most of the fight, makes up for a nice challenge if you face her like after Arnstein and Smog. I think she is just a little bit harder than the others, but not much, just by an inch maybe. When you go back to the asylum, you will find a rematch against the first boss, although this time it's way bigger and has its staff that can create explosions. Those explosions cause a lot of damage and have a wide spread, meaning that you just cannot stay in front of the boss. The best way, once again, is to hit its butt. I feel so odd saying like this. Sif is one of the best fights in the game, but it's not a hard one. All of their attacks are mostly the same thing, either a swing with a sword or a spin, meaning you have to dodge once or twice to stay below the dog, where the camera gets all screwed up, but it's the best way to deal damage and dodge. In the end, once you figure it out, it's simple moveset. When you are able to get the dodge timing, there is not much difficulty, but you may need to try it over and over again. Now for a boss that can be actually called difficult in the first playthrough. Because she has a lot of HP, a lot of damage, she can spit lava in the arena making it smaller and more difficult to dodge her sword attacks, which cover a large area, but you can almost cheese her by strafing to the right or staying far away from her, where she only uses a single attack, and that one is easy to dodge. Anyway, if you stay close, the only problem is her explosion that happens really fast, but you can see it coming. Like, if you see her patting her spider body, she's going to do it, so be careful and get out of there. Just take care to not be stuck under her legs. It's the first of the dead, the guy who was so useless that managed to die before anyone else and thus became the Lord of Death for some reason. Well, the man by himself is not a hard fight. Most of his attacks can be dodged by strafing, and that one which comes from the ground can be avoided by only guarding. Really, this is pathetic. But the reason why this boss is up here is the simple fact that they decided to add 6 skeletons into the fight that can easily overwhelm you, especially those giants. If you aggro them, you will die, and I'm not joking. There's no way. How are you going to beat 6 skeletons and Nito himself? You're not. Also, if you do, they respawn. Because why not? Thankfully, Nito can explode them for you, and if you are able to bait that attack, well, you can actually beat them with a relative ease. Or maybe not. Yeah, this boss is hard. The camera is awful, you can't see anything, the arena is really small, the boss has a lot of wide attacks that hit all the arena, overall a trash fight, terribly made, and that's why it's hard. A clunky and unfair fight that I don't want to talk about in our mod actually. The last boss in the game. Many people say this is an easy fight and kinda disappointing since it's the final one, but for me at least, he's not easy, since his attacks are some of the fastest in the game. Sometimes it seems like it's too fast for Dark Souls. There's almost none wind up time and the combos are really long. He also instantly attacks you when you heal and never gives you a time to breathe. Except if you parry, then it becomes one of the easiest boss in the game actually. But I didn't know that in my first playthrough, so for me it was challenging because dodging, it's going to be tough. The DLC bosses are way more complex than any single one in the base game. The only reason why some of them are more difficult it's because of some bullshit or the fact that it's more than one boss. Anyway, this one is quite challenging since it attacks really fast, shoots lightning at you, and can frequently dodge your attacks while flying, meaning the fight can drag out for a bit long. Since it does a lot of damage, it can easily kill you. And also, imagine someone that have only played DS1, like the base game, facing this boss for the first time. It's way more demanding and that's why it's up here. This is the first boss in the list that has two enemies in it, like two bosses. Facing only one gargoyle is not that hard. In the first phase, the actual challenge may as well be to not fall while dodging, at least in the first playthrough. Anyway, since it's an early game fight, this means you are not going to be strong yet. And these guys can deal a lot of damage and are more complex than any single other enemy you've seen yet. Oh, and have I mentioned? Yes, I did. These guys are two, and that's the real difficulty. So what happens here is that while you have to dodge the first one, the other one will start to breathe fire, limiting the space you have to dodge. That's the only reason why it's hard actually, especially if you lock on, so don't. Hashtag I hate lock on. Oh man, the best boss in the game should be harder, I guess. I'm not saying it's easy or anything, but I remember that he was no near close to be the boss that killed me the most. I guess in my first time I died like 4 times to him, but still this boss is challenging. The reason why it's only in 7th place is because there's no bullshit about it. It's just a straight up duo against another swordsman. So when you get the dodge timings, the fight becomes a dance and you can defeat him. Now before talking about this boss, in this list the Havel's armor is not considered, since it's probably the most OP thing in the entire game. It trivializes every single fight, except the hardest one, but we'll get to it later. So even if it is the most well-known method of killing them, I will not be counting it for 4 kings. This sounded weird, right? Still, when you face them having to dodge, it makes the fight way more difficult. If you don't have enough damage, more kings are going to spawn, so you have to kill them fast. Even so, facing in 1 versus 1 is not easy. You have to stay close because otherwise their attacks deal more damage. There's this orb one that's almost impossible to dodge. It keeps following you and lasts for almost a minute. And this explosion, which is so fast and hard to get away. Also, every single of their attacks does an unbelievable amount of damage. So yeah, this boss is really difficult and I guess nobody is going to argue otherwise. This is the first fun and difficult dragon boss fight in any Souls game. And yeah, it's really difficult. This guy breathes fire all the time, the fire deals a lot of damage, he's always attacking. It's a he? I don't know. Anyway, every single attack of this dragon is really hard to dodge. If it manages to grab you, you will take double damage for the rest of the fight, and that's, how can I say that, quite annoying. No, it almost makes the fight impossible. Also, this boss is really hard to hit. because it moves a lot and it has a lot of close range attacks. Also, it has a lot of HP, and it's one of the fastest bosses in the entire game. But still, just like Artorias, I could say Calamite is hard because it's hard. There's no bullshit about it. You just need to learn its movesets. What a terrible fight. Like, a small room with three enemies captured and two dogs that attack you so fast that you cannot even react. This boss is only hard because those guys always find a way to combo you into a wall and deploy unbelievable amounts of damage. The best strategy here is to try to run for the staircase and pray that you can kill the dogs before Capra gets to you. As I said, the boss is hard because it's unfair. If it weren't for the dogs, it would be easy mode, and Capra wouldn't stand a chance. Yeah, things are not getting better for me, huh? Bed of Chaos is the worst boss in this game. It's hard because it's bad and pushes you off the arena all the time. Like, all the time. Because of its wide attacks that are hard to dodge. And that's all I have to say about this boss. I don't want to waste time with this one. Like, I hate it. Although once I said this boss is hard because it's unfair and there are two enemies, I really like them. Still, it's kinda true. This boss is only hard, like actually hard, in the first phase. The second one is a little bit more manageable, but it's not easy by any means. That's why it's in second place. I mean, both of the bosses you get in phase 2 are easier to kill, but they also can easily kill you. Anyway, both of them are slow, not really slow, but slow and easy to dodge. So you better learn the timings and don't be afraid, just stay close. If they use a ground pound, you try to get away. Other than that, you just roll into them. Now back to the first phase. Both of them can easily corner you, so you have to bait Smog on the pillar and dodge Ornstein attacks, which is not an easy task, huh? Since both of them are really aggressive, Ornstein more than Smog of course, well, you have to be strategic in this fight in order to make space between both of them and deal with one at a time. That's why it's the hardest boss in the base game. This is the last boss in the DLC and the last one you'll probably face in the game, and that's fair since he's tough. This guy probably has the most amount of attacks out of any boss in the game, and these attacks can easily kill you. Also, he can use magic, which is quite hard to dodge, coming from different sides, requiring you to dodge differently. Also, he has a combo that stun locks you, meaning it's better to not stay close. Other than that, this boss is really aggressive and don't leave enough room for you to attack. This, combined with the high HP, makes up for one of the hardest fights From Software has ever made. And that's pretty much it. Anyway, this was a quick video to make, and if you want to see which one of those 26 fights I think is the best one, I made another one. That one is one of my best works in YouTube. So if you want to, go check it out. So thank you for watching, see you next time.